When we unearthed the 1955 Chevy Bel Air, we expected rust, decay, and silence. What we didn't expect was the story buried with it, a story of love, loss, and one man's unshakable promise. Beneath that mound of dirt, we didn't just find a car. We found a lifetime of memories someone couldn't bear to let go. There's something almost spiritual about classic cars, the way they hold time, emotion, and history inside their frames. The 1955 Chevy Bel Air wasn't just any car. It was the symbol of American dreams, chrome and color wrapped in hope. But when we got a call from a woman saying there was a Bel Air literally buried in her backyard, we thought she was joking. Still, curiosity got the best of us. We drove 3 hours to a quiet town on the edge of nowhere, where an elderly widow named Mary told us that her late husband had put it to rest decades ago and begged us to bring it back to light. Mary's husband, Frank, had been a mechanic all his life. In his youth, that 1955 Chevy was his pride, his freedom. He bought it the day he proposed to Mary, a turquoise and white two-door beauty that turned heads everywhere it went. They drove it to their wedding, to their honeymoon, to every milestone that marked their life together. The car wasn't just transportation, it was a witness to their love story. But in 1978, tragedy struck. Their only son, Daniel, took the Bel Air out one night without permission. There was an accident. Daniel didn't make it home. The car was recovered, crumpled, but intact, its body twisted, its shine gone forever. From that day on, Frank never started the engine again. Instead, he covered it, sat beside it in the garage every night, and eventually made a decision no one could understand. One cold winter morning, he told Mary, "I can't look at it anymore, but I can't let it go either." That spring, he buried it in their backyard, right behind the maple tree Daniel had planted as a boy. Decades passed, and the car became nothing more than a memory whispered through cracked voices and faded photographs. When Frank died, Mary couldn't bring herself to disturb it. But when she called us, she said she finally wanted to let the car breathe again. We arrived with a small team, excavators, and cameras, expecting a corroded frame. The digging began early in the morning, and by noon, the shape started to appear beneath the soil. First, the chrome bumper, then the headlights, then the hood. Even caked in mud, that iconic Chevy grin was unmistakable. When the car was finally lifted out of the earth, silence fell over everyone. The turquoise paint, though dulled, still peeked through patches of rust. Inside the car, the seats were intact, but frozen in time. An old jacket hung on the driver's seat, a cassette still in the radio, and on the dashboard, taped with yellowed adhesive, a photograph of a young boy smiling beside his father, and the very same car. We asked Mary if she remembered the day Frank buried it. Her voice trembled as she said, "He couldn't forgive himself. He thought if he buried the car, he could bury the pain." She told us how, after Daniel's death, Frank refused to sell or scrap it. Neighbors thought he'd lost his mind. But Mary knew the truth. Frank had lost his best friend, his son, and the car was the last physical piece of that connection. He worked on other cars after that, but never touched the Bel Air again. When he buried it, he said, "I'll dig it up when I'm ready." But he never was. Now, all these years later, it felt like we were completing a circle he couldn't finish himself. We took the Bel Air back to our shop, carefully documenting every inch. The frame was solid enough to restore, though the engine was seized and the chrome eaten by time. We made a promise to Mary, to bring it back not as a showpiece, but as a tribute. The restoration took months. Each layer of rust revealed something new: initials carved under the dashboard, an old keychain that read, D plus F forever, and a tiny dent in the rear fender Mary remembered from when Daniel first learned to drive. We decided to preserve these marks instead of erasing them. They were fingerprints of the life it had lived. When the engine finally roared to life for the first time in nearly 50 years, the entire shop fell silent. It was as if Daniel and Frank were both there with us, smiling through the smoke. Mary visited every week, sitting quietly in the corner, sometimes laughing through tears as the Bel Air's color returned to its former glory. When the day came to reveal it to her, the turquoise paint shimmered under the lights, the chrome reflecting every emotion in her eyes. Mary stepped closer, her trembling hand grazing the hood. "It looks exactly like the day he brought it home," she whispered. We handed her the keys, and for the first time in decades, the 1955 Chevy Bel Air rolled back into her driveway, the same spot where Daniel once washed it under the summer sun. As the engine purred, she reached into her purse and pulled out something wrapped in a handkerchief, a small silver bracelet with the engraving, "Forever Family." She placed it on the dashboard and said softly, "Now they can both rest." In that moment, not a single person in the shop could hold back tears. The car wasn't just restored, it was redeemed. The sound of that classic V8 was more than an engine. It was a heartbeat returning after years of silence. That project changed us all. It reminded us that behind every car there's a soul, a story, a set of hands that once steered it, dreams that once fueled it. Some vehicles aren't just machines. They're monuments to love and loss. The 1955 Chevy Bel Air had been entombed in the earth, forgotten by the world, but never by the hearts that mattered. We realized then that restoration isn't just about bringing back the shine. It's about honoring the memories forged in metal and motion. Every time we turned a wrench or polished a fender, it felt like we were breathing life back into a piece of someone's family. Today, that Bel Air sits in Mary's garage, shining brighter than ever. A turquoise time capsule filled with love, sorrow, and peace. Sometimes she takes it out for a short drive down the old country road, the same route her husband and son once took together. She says it makes her feel like they're still with her, just a few steps ahead, waiting at the next turn. The car's reflection glows in her eyes as the sun sets behind her, and for a moment, you can almost see three silhouettes, Mary, Frank, and Daniel, riding together once more. What began as a buried secret became a reminder that even when life breaks your heart, love can still find its way back to the surface. Just like that 1955 Chevy Bel Air,